In section 1-2, we're going to continue to look at data as it's presented in this case in bar charts. Question number 1. Dwayne and his buddy Seabass are over-the-road truckers, and at their weekly chess match on Sundays, they compare the number of miles they drove during the week. The data for last week are illustrated in the bar graph. How far did Dwayne drive? So as we look here, we see Dwayne is blue. So here's his miles on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So for question number 1, we're going to have what is 250 plus 210 plus 190. He didn't drive at all on Thursday. We're not even going to add the 0. You could add the 0 though. Plus 0 plus 450 plus 200. And you're definitely going to use your calculator here to add all of these values up. 250 plus 210 plus 190 plus 450 plus 200 on the calculator is 1,300. And we're going to want to make sure we put our units in. That's an important part of what we're doing in this class, is learning units of measure in our answers. All right, so who drove the most overall during the week? Well, we know that Dwayne rode 1,300 miles. We've already calculated that for question 1. But let's find out how many Seabass drove. So what is 490 plus 200 plus, Dwayne did not drive on Wednesday, but on Thursday he drove 240 miles, and Friday he drove 120 miles, and on Saturday he drove 340 miles. So eventually, I've already done all these calculations, but you're going to use your calculator to add 290 plus 200 plus 240 plus 120 plus 300, and we're going to see that Seabass drove 1,390 miles. So who drove the most overall miles? Seabass drove the most overall miles, and by how much? Well, this you might be able to do mentally, but what we do is we take the large number and subtract the smaller number, and we say by 90 miles. Seabass drove 90 miles more than Dwayne. All right, so here, let's look at this bar chart. And this bar chart is Ford, the car company, net profits or loss. So here is 0 right here. That would be our break-even point. So any number above the 0 is a profit. Any number below the 0 is a loss. And companies can lose money, or they can make money. And you can see that in these 2 years, 2007 and 2008, they actually lost some money. What is the difference between net income in 2008 and 2009? And is that an increase or a decrease? So in 2008, they lost 15 billion. So to go from here up to 0, that would be 15 billion. So they had a $15 billion loss in 2008. And in 2009, they had a $3 billion profit. So 15 plus 3 is an $18 billion increase. There was an $18 billion increase between 2008 and 2009. What was the company's total net income for the years 2007 to 2010? Okay, so 2007 they lost $3 billion. 2008 they lost $15 billion. So that's a -3 plus a -5. In 2009, they gained $3 billion. In 2010, they gained $7 billion. So on your calculator, you should know where your negative numbers are. Every calculator is a little different, but on the graphing calculator, this is the negative, this is the subtract, this is the negative. So we're going to do, try to get that glare out of there, -3 plus -15 plus 3 plus 7. And that's a -8. A -8. So we would say an $8 billion loss. Sorry, an $8 billion loss, because a negative number is a loss. And then the question is, what is the total net income for all the years? Okay, so we know that there's a negative $8 billion loss up to 2010. So from here to here, we know that's -8. We got that in question 4. But then we're going to add 20, and then we're going to add 6, and then we're going to add 7, and then we're going to add 3 billion, and then we're going to add 7 billion. So -8 plus 20 plus 6. Oops, sorry. Let me do it all at once. -8 plus 20 plus 6 plus 7 plus 3 plus 7. 35, positive 35. So that's a $35 billion gain or increase. Or profit is probably the best way to say it. And since it was positive, it was a profit, not a loss, for all of these years added together. All right, continuing on here. The perimeter of a figure is found by taking the sum of the lengths of each of the sides. But now the tricky thing here is they have to be the same units. So you have to, first of all, convert all the units. Like here we have 5 yards and here we have 10 feet. We want to convert 5 yards into how many feet so that our whole perimeter will be detected or determined in feet. So right now we have 5 yards. We don't want yards. We want feet. I'm going to make this a fraction. So I need to make a fraction that has yards in the denominator, because then I'll be able to cancel a yard in the numerator and a yard in the denominator, and all I'll be left with is feet. And there are 3 feet in 1 yard. What I've just done is I've just multiplied by 1, but it's a special way of writing 1. I'm writing 1 as 3 feet equals 1 yard. Why would I do that? Because now the yards cancel, and now I just multiply across. 5 times 3 feet is 15 feet. So rather than this being 5 yards, we're going to change this to 15 feet. And we're going to change this to 15 feet. This is a rectangle, so the perimeter is going to be 15 plus 10 plus 15 plus 10, which is 50 feet perimeter. Let's look over here. I have feet, inches. All right, I want to change them all to inches. You always want to pick the smaller unit. Inches are smaller than feet. Pick the smaller one so that you don't have decimals or fractions in your answers. So here I want to change 6 feet. I have feet, but I don't want feet. I want inches. So I'm going to multiply by a fraction that has feet in the denominator. 12 inches makes 1 foot. I've really just multiplied by 1. 12 inches over 1 foot, that's equal to 1. But what I've just done is I've picked a certain way of representing 1 so that the feet in the denominator and the feet in the numerator cancel. And now when we multiply our fraction across, 6 times 12 is 72 inches. So this is 72 inches. This is obviously not drawn to scale. And now here we want to also change this side from 5 feet to inches. I want inches. I want to get rid of feet. 12 inches in 1 foot. My units feet cancel. 5 times 12 is 60 inches, and so now this is 60 inches. So what's the perimeter of this triangle? That's going to be 72 plus 60 plus 30. 72 plus 60 plus 30 is 162, and remember to put your units, inches, in there. All right, here we go with question number 8. Find the length of the unlabeled side. All right, so we're going to call that x. X is often used in math as unknown. It's something we want to solve for. We want to end with x equals some number. Find the length of this side, labeled x, in the figure if the perimeter is 86 inches. All right, so this is in inches, but the rest are in feet. So the first thing I want to do is change 2 feet into inches. So I want a fraction that have inches in the numerator and feet in the denominator. Why? So that feet will cancel, and now we multiply across. 2 times 12 is 24 inches. And this was also 2 feet, so we don't have to do that calculation a second time. We'll just write 24 inches. And 1 foot we know is 12 inches. All right, so all of these sides added together are going to equal 86. So we'll just go around. 10 plus 24 plus 12 plus 24 plus, and this is what we're looking for, side x. All of those 5 sides added together have to equal 86. So on our calculator, we add 10 plus 24 plus 12 plus 24, and all of these added together are 70. So we get 70. Bring down the plus, bring down the x, bring down the equal, bring down the 86. Now we want to get this x by itself. So I'm going to put my finger over the x. Anything that is not under my finger has to go to the other side of the equal sign. Right now I have 70 plus x. So this is a positive 70. To undo positive 70, I'm going to subtract 70. Because they will cancel. But whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I have to do to the other, or they're not equal anymore. So now those are going to cancel. I bring down the x, I bring down the equals, and 86 minus 70 is 16 inches. And that's the length of this side, if the perimeter is going to be 86 inches. And we're not going to do this last part because we're not using spreadsheets in this class.